He mentions the Quran in chapter 18, verse 86, and says that the sun setting in a spring of murky water, and he goes, yeah, we all know the sun doesn't set in murky water. Okay. The Quran doesn't actually say the sun sets in a spring of murky water, bro. Like, the verse literally doesn't say that. It says that Dhul-Qarnayn perceived it as it was being set in a spring of murky water.
All of the earliest commentaries I can find, including this tafsir from Ibn Abbas, they really believe that the earth set in a place, and here they think it's set in a muddy spring.
Again, using Sunni tafsir to try and respond to a Shia, bro, that's not how this works. You're responding to me, use my books. Don't use someone else's books. That's like me using Jewish scriptures against you as a Christian and saying, that's not how it works, right? Let me humble you again. So this is the fourth video now, refuting the concept of the sun setting in murky water. So the verse in itself refutes you, bro. Like, we don't even need to go to the commentary or the explanation. Like, the verse in itself refutes you. It says, and I quote, look, it says, he found it. So that means it is his perception. It's not a literal verse, right? And here's four translations, right? Here's the first one. What does it say? Which appeared to him. Second translation, he found it. Third translation, he found it as if. Fourth translation, he found it. And just for the fun of it, I'll chuck three more in there. Here it says, he found it, seemed to be. Second one says he found it. Third one says he found it. So that's 7 translations of the Holy Quran on this verse that say Dhul-Qarnayn's perception was that he found that the sun was setting in a spring of murky water, not literally setting in a spring of murky water. Understand the difference between metaphors and literal wording. The key word here is wajada. Now, wajada means he found. So again, it's from his perspective, right? This is a subjective visual description from Dhul-Qarnayn's point of view, not a literal verse. Optical perception. Understand what that means. If you don't know, go Google it. And let's look at the Shia commentary of this verse, shall we? And let's see what it says. So Tafsir Safi, here, Fi Kalamullah al-Wafi, it says, he reached the shore of the ocean and seen it like that, since there was nothing in his sight but water. So in his vision was just water. This is why he said he found it setting. He did not say it was setting. There's the difference, right? Tafsir Majmu' al-Bayan Allama Tabrasi, he did not mean by that he reached the place of sunset, because no one can actually reach the place of sunset. He found it setting, meaning he found it as if it was setting in a murky spring, even though it sets behind it. Why? Because the sun does not depart from the sky nor enter into a spring of water. He reached that place. It appeared to him just as someone who is on land and he sees the sun setting on earth. Then we look at Tafsir Tibyan by Sheikh At-Tusi. It says this is according to his view. Right? It's not going well for you, is it, bro? It doesn't mean the sun actually sets in a spring of murky water.
Once the Muslim world started to catch up with more technologically advanced societies and realized, wait, the earth is actually rotating on an axis, that's when the interpretations started to change, because they realized, oh, it's wrong, because it's a mistake.
Again, you're just exposing yourself more, man. Islam knew the earth was rotating on its own axis before Western scholars did. And I'll give you the proof of this, right? Quran in chapter 27, verse 88 says, mountains pass like the passing of clouds. And then when you look at the commentary, it says mountains are a part of the earth's crust. Therefore, the movement of the mountains means the earth in itself is moving. This is 14 centuries ago. Western scholars didn't even know this yet. Islam's already telling you the earth is moving. In the Quran in chapter 39 verse 5, God says he wraps the night over the day and wraps the day over the night. The Arabic word that is used, it comes from the root word Taqvi, which is to coil or to wrap around. This shows that the spherical nature of the earth and the rotating causing day and night in succession. So Sheikh At-Tusi, when did he die? He died in the year 1274. He proposed a model in which he theorized planetary motion, including that the earth is rotating. This view was hundreds of years before Western scholars had ever got there. In the 15th century, you have Copernicus and Galileo in the 16th century. And this guy, Sheikh At-Tusi, he discovered this hundreds of years before these guys. You guys didn't even know that the earth was rotating on its own axis until the 16th to 17th century. Sheikh At-Tusi has already mentioned it. So we didn't catch up to these guys. They caught up to us. Bro, we knew the earth was spinning in the 12th century. Galileo, Newton, these guys discovered it in the 15th, 16th, 17th century. So we knew years before you guys. So we didn't catch up with the societies caught up with Islam. That's the refutation of his fourth verse. So the Quran is saying that this Dhul Qarnayn perceived it as if the sun was setting in a spring of murky water, and I've shown you 4 Shia commentaries of the Quran that support the fact that this was Dhul Qarnayn's perception and it's not a literal verse, right? So that's 4 of his claims refuted. Not looking good for you, bro. Now let me make the last one, which is the 5th video, where he talks about Alexander the Great and Dhul Qarnayn being the same person.